basis for that?
There was a basis
For that.
to request those documents to determine whether or not, in fact, there was a manipulation of the security vetting processes.
So you were satisfied that there is from your briefing, you were satisfied that there is sufficient information that casts doubt on his security vetting for all those 3 positions?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. And perhaps just to clarify, when Colonel Padiache appeared before the commission and was engaged on this document, he testified that his investigation was confined to the recommendation and appointment of Brigadier Mkwele. So that's the person appearing at 1.6. And he explained that this summons was intended to cover all other investigations. So he could not account for how the names of 1.1 to 1.5 and 1.7 found its way into this summons. His interest lies only in 1.6. You suggested that we should turn perhaps to Colonel Padiache, Mr. Perumal, Mr. Mancha, and Mr. Mlambo. On that basis, on the basis of what I have just highlighted, it would sound that Mr. Padiache, Colonel Padiache has given an account of this Section 28, and we cannot turn to him. Would there be a reason for you to question that he is correct, that he can only account for Brigadier Mkwele because that was the leg of the investigation he was involved in?
Chair, because they work as a team, you would find that they compile these subpoenas, and when they compile the subpoenas, they identify as a team what is required. As indicated initially, when the legs are broken up into different legs of investigation, they also would then, in the manner in which they subpoena documents, don't subpoena per individual, especially when you're subpoenaing, as an example, from the National Commissioner. They would want to subpoena as many of the similar types of documents. So he would have had to have been part of that conversation and would have had to know that all of these people are also being considered. It's a bit difficult to divorce yourself when you are part of a team, because on the basis of what would you say to Mr. Mlambo, whose name is on the... Mr. Mlambo, while you're doing this, just add my one. They would have to agree as a team. Vetting processes, this is what we're looking at. Who are we looking at? What are we requesting? Whom do we request it from? That makes sense in terms of their investigative methodology.
Okay, so then, if I understand you correctly, they bear collective responsibility for that list. It's not enough for Colonel Padiache to say, I was only investigating the appointment of the person listed in item 1.6.
That is correct.
Okay.
Sorry,
yes,
before you do your question again, just to make sure that we're not missing each other or you understand the fullness of what I was trying to do. I used 1.1 General Kumalo as just an example, yes. But in fact, what I was raising applies to all of the people on the list. Can we confirm that your response applies to all of them as well?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bala.
Yes, Commissioner.
Good morning, Advocate Johnson.
Good morning, Commissioner.
If you look at 937 and the offenses listed there, it is fraud and corruption in the bullet points, you see that?
I see that, Commissioner.
Yes, and then you go to Annexure B. Let's just focus on Major General Lushaba, for example. For the rank of Colonel, Brigadier, and Major General, was there Section 27 referral to IDAC suggesting that their vetting and clearances were tainted with fraud and corruption? Just focusing only on Major General Lushaba. Was there such a 27 referral suggesting that their vetting and clearances were tainted with fraud and corruption?
It was the generalized Section 27, Commissioner Khumalo, of Adams of November, and we just need to check in the additional A1s that were taken, if they were expanded on in those A1s. But there was a generalized Section 27 referral.
Because my recollection of the Section 27 is that he was saying all the kernels in crime intelligence are not suitable. I don't remember seeing anywhere in that Section 27 where he says their security clearances and their vetting were tainted with fraud and corruption.
I would just have to...
If you go to file 2, page 512, CJC 373, that is the Section 27 affidavit by Mr. Adams.
Sorry, Council, the page reference?
512.
It starts on 512. If you look at paragraph 4 on 513, that is the general statement that is made. And it starts with the manipulation of procurement processes. And it lists the civilian who worked for BMW. And then the paragraph after that says it is concerning that out of all the kernels employed in crime intelligence, none of them were suitable to be appointed to this post. But I don't recall seeing in the referral anywhere where it says Major General Lushaba's vetting and clearance is tainted with fraud and corruption.
Sorry, Chief, you just grant me a moment. Yes, yeah, correct, Commissioner Khumalo. He just refers to processes to appoint and promote certain members.
So it is the Mukwele issue where the vetting is a problem. And then reference to Lushaba is in paragraph 6 on 514, is the issue of the housebreaking and the laptop.
That is correct.
But there is no referral relating to their vetting or their security clearance being tainted with fraud and corruption. So if that is so, would there be a legal basis for then investigating their vetting and security clearances at all 4 levels, or at 3, at the level of a colonel, brigadier, and major general?
Chair, it would depend on what else they did have access to at the time, because they would have had to have access to the additional A1 statements that were taken, and not just this. So I would be remiss if I say no. Because this is done, Chair, in February of 2025. By that stage, they would have had the engagements with Adams, and in terms of those additional statements, I'm not sure that additional documents were provided, but they would have had a twofold basis upon which
But as I understand it, the substance of what Commissioner Kumalo is raising with you is this. If this was never referred in terms of the affidavit, how do we suddenly have it here? The fact that the investigators may have come across some information at a later stage cannot cure the lack of a referral in the first instance. I thought that's the substance of the question.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
And so we would just have to look at the additional A1, and because the additional A1 is supposed to talk to the Section 27, if it is not there, then it doesn't talk to.
So even if the information is subsequently obtained and is contained somewhere, it means nothing if there was no referral in the first place, or not?
Unless there was other evidence before the issue of the summons.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay.
Thank you, commissioners. So, when we do look at file 9, which is where the additional statements are by Mr. Adams, what do you suggest what conclusions do you suggest the commission must draw if this section 28 is not supported, in its terms, is not supported by the A1s? Oh, please, so apologies. Sorry, you were looking for your files. I'll start
I have
again.
them.
I was saying now, having had the benefit of this engagement, and we know that we have those A1 statements, supplementary statements by Mr. Adams in file 9, which we are still going to look through so that we can zero in on the relevant documents. What do you suggest? What conclusions do you suggest the commission must draw if a reading of those A1 statements together with the Section 27 referral affidavit do not support the summons in the terms as reflected?
And in the absence of anything else before the date of the issue of the summons.
Just pause there. What else would there have been? Because so far we have understood that the summons arise from the Section 27, read with the dockets in Orlando and Cape Town, the A1s, and read with the supplementary affidavits by Mr. Adams. That's all we have. Is there anything we have missed? And
No, I think that the point I was trying to make, Council, is we just need to check that there isn't anything else before the 6th of February other than the 27 and the additional statements.
Okay.
What I'm trying to get to, is I don't know whether he attached anything else. Was it just the A1? But that is all.
Yes.
I expect would have been there.
on that point, what could potentially be there? What should we be looking out for?
The only thing that could potentially be there is if he, over and beyond the additional A1, attached documents
Okay.
in support of.
Okay.
That could be the only thing, which might then talk to, but that would be the only other thing.
Now we've settled the documents that we should look to try and understand the basis, the legal basis for the Section 28 summons. My question to you was, what would your advice to the commissioners be as regards how they view this Section 28 summons in circumstances where all the documents that you have listed, we have just discussed, do not factually or legally support this Section 28? What would your advice to them be?
Then the investigation is problematic. Whatever follows is problematic.
And what do you say about its legal validity and everything that arises therefrom?
Short of a proper detailed explanation from the investigators, and if an explanation is given and one that is not accepted by the commission, then that investigation falls away. It has to be a legitimate investigation. It has to be supported by documentation. That is the basis, Chair and Commissioners, on which IDAC has worked on all its other matters. This matter cannot be an exception. And so what I'm saying is, if we find that there is in fact an exception which ought not to be there, then it must be explained by those who did it, but then it goes back to, so what do you do with it now?
Now, that is relevant, and I think earlier you indicated, that is relevant to docket number 453, is that, or /06/2025. The docket you said is still under investigation, the docket in which J50 was issued for the arrest of General Kumalo, I think, and General Madondo, but which arrest warrant was then suspended. This is where that investigation, that is the matter that this investigation results in. That is about manipulation of their own security clearances, am I correct?
That is what I understand, yes.
So, where then we are, as you have testified.
Sorry, Mr.
Yes.
Can I just understand? The manipulation of their own security clearances is the allegation, and I'm just trying to understand your answer, is the allegation that they manipulated their own security status, or which is the one possibility. The other is they are charged and accused of manipulating other people's security vetting, because maybe let me leave it at that. Which of the two, because they're not the same.
Yes, as I understand, for example, in one matter, without going into the detail of the person's name, the person put in false affidavits about material requirements towards vetting. The question was, did the second person knowingly overlook that there was an untruth, a manipulation in the process? But it ordinarily starts with a person whose application is defective, for lack of a better word, Commissioner Baloy.
So what it is with that case is that one of them misrepresented certain information to the other, and the other did whatever they did to approve the vetting, if approve is the correct word. And your question in respect of that second person is whether they did so knowingly or not. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I need to move to a different document, but before I do so, how many Section 27 affidavits are you aware of that Mr. Adams filed with IDAC?
The one that we referred to earlier?
Are you aware of any other that
No.
either preceded or post-dated that one?
I'm aware of the 21 November.
Of November?
Correct.
That's the only one?
Yes.
I ask because in the course of our investigations, it would appear that there were actually two Section 27s with some differences between them. I just wanted to establish whether you were aware of both of them.
I'm aware of the one that we've been going through the past few days.
And if I recall, this one that we've been dealing with, you say was was solicited by Chief Perumal and then eventually landed on your desk. And that's the only one you have worked with.
Correct.
Okay. I need to then refer you to a different document to understand how the system works. And I'm looking for the Section 28.1 authorization. I have it at page 3288. Apologies, not that one. I'm looking for the 2813, 3307. That, I think we are still, we are still in file 8 still.
Do we put away 3?
Not too far, Chair. We'll be coming back to it.
Please look at the one on 3282. Is it that one, or are we looking for a different one?
3282, that's a 2813.
It's also a 2813.
Yes, there are a few of those. And
This was the 6th December. I remember there was a later
Yes.
one that you showed.
the later one, Commissioner, is the 28-1 of 30th May
Which one are we looking at?
for the 6th of December.
Okay.
20.
There are actually, there is one 3285. But the 3285 is the designation. What I'm looking for is the actual application. And that's how I landed 3307. Thank you. Are you at file 83307?
Correct, Council.
Now, I understood your testimony on Thursday, in summary, to be Advocate Ramsamy. You hand that Section 27 to Advocate Ramsamy. She considers the affidavit together with the legal provisions. She then arrives at certain conclusions and she drafts a Section 2813 application and submits to you for consideration and approval. Am I on the right track there?
That is correct.
So I see at 3307, it's one such, it's addressed to you. And it says Advocate Santos Manilao and Advocate Ramsamy. It's dated the 5th of December 2024. This is in relation to the list of 12, and that is at 3309. And while we are here, Advocate, I've resisted the temptation, but I think I succumb. The person at 3.12, automotive engineer, who's that? Is the automotive name? Do you have any idea?
No, Chair. These were the names that, when I checked with Advocate Ramsamy, she said they were on that, they were on a paper that were furnished after Mr. Perumal had spoken to Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Yes.
So, at the risk of asking a stupid question, automotive engineer has got what, an ID number. Is that somebody we can search for at Home
It should be
Affairs?
an entity that could be found.
An entity.
Yes, ma'am.
But it says engineer suggesting a
No,
person.
it's an entity, from how I understand
Okay.
it.
All right. I'm interested in 313 though. It says any and all individuals or entities whose identities are currently unknown, but which may become known during the investigation. You recall we started with Section 27th affidavit, which identified the first three names. We established that Mr. Perumal, through you suggested Mr. Perumal added the rest of the names, having consulted with Mr. Adams. But then it goes, so that's broadening it. But 313 goes even broader, considering the purpose for which you would be issuing a Section 28 investigating. There should be a limit to powers that are granted. 313 could very well discover my name in there and I become subjected to this investigation. Is that proper though? Because it's a limitless power and authorization here.
Council, it's not limitless because it relates to any and all individuals or entities whose identities are currently unknown, but are limited in which may become known during the course of this investigation.
Yes.
Yes.
But it doesn't go further to say that they are implicated in whatever crime is being investigated.
No.
It's just the names being known, and suddenly there's authorization to go investigate them as well.
It doesn't of necessity mean that they are investigated. Any and all individuals or entities whose identities are currently unknown, but which may become known during the course of the investigation. Once those details come through, investigators are able to determine whether those are persons of interest to be investigated or those are persons whose names have come up and are potential witnesses.
So technically it's left to then the investigators. If they like me, they come across my name, they don't have to investigate. But if they don't like me, then they investigate. Do you understand my challenge? Because I think too much power resides and discretion resides with them. And that somehow has the potential to undermine the system. Doesn't it?
I take your point, but that shouldn't be done.
Okay.
That is not what the purpose of this insertion is. And it was also for practical reasons. You've got the authorization, you're conducting investigations, names come up, and the names can be either or. So if it is persons who would fall into the category of suspects or persons of interest, then you'd have to come back for an amendment. Yes. And so you are able to then deal with the investigation without the to and fro of the. I do take the point.
Okay.
And perhaps it could be couched somewhat differently, but this is what we have used over the time.
But isn't it a necessary control mechanism that what has been justified to you are the specific names? So you were given these names. There must have been justification to you. We had the earlier discussion about you satisfying yourself that there is a basis to include these specific names. And if that is your system, then paragraph 3.13 should not be there because it means people will be included without it being justified to you who gave the authority. You understand the point I'm making?
I understand.
So 3.13 is very much open to abuse if you're not controlling it, if they don't come back to you to justify. And what you are saying to us now is you gave them that latitude to justify just from 3.1 up to 3.12, but then beyond that, you gave them latitude to justify that, and you were satisfied that there is merit in having 3.1 up to 3.12 to be investigated. But then what you go on to do then in 3.13, and you say to us that's how IDAC has always operated, is you then leave it to them to then determine as they go along to investigate without having to justify to you, which defeats the very purpose of justification to you in the first place. So my suggestion would be, if that's how you were operating, then you may as well just have at 3.13. They come and they tell you, we are going to investigate anyone that may be implicated, because that's the effect of 313. It allows anyone that Colonel Padachi gets their name, you know, if Mr. Adams had said, Mr. Bodlani, that's all that would have happened. He would have gone and investigated him under 3.13 without coming to you as the repository of the authority to authorize investigations into individuals, without coming to you to say, here's my justification for investigating him.
It was not the intention,
Yeah.
but I do take
But it is the effect.
It in all likelihood is the effect, and I take the point. And just for reassurance, Mr. Bodlani is not in 3.13.
Yeah, we don't know who else Mr. Colonel Pareachi included in there, but he may well, and you have no control over that. You have no way of knowing. And I say Colonel Pareachi not to target him specifically, all your investigators. They may well be conducting investigations of individuals that are not authorized by you and that may possibly not be related to a subject matter with that kind of provision.
The point is taken, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We were still with that application. I see if we go to page 3311.
Sorry, Ms. Lila, maybe before you go
Yes.
there, let me ask my question before I forget. You say at 3310 under 4, participation of other disciplines, and you have the asset forfeiture unit. Was the asset forfeiture unit ever involved with this investigation at this point? And what was their involvement?
So, what we ordinarily do is once an investigation is commenced with, we will send or we will invite asset forfeiture in to know that there's a new investigation. But the investigation progresses for quite some time before they're brought back in, because it depends on the stage of the investigation. And their purpose is then to determine, as the commissioners know, whether or not the offenses as they are deal with the proceeds of crime and whether or not that must be taken forward.
So you, IDAC, as a matter of course, every investigation you alert the AFU
Yes.
that you're conducting that investigation.
Correct.
Even though on the face of it, let's take a Section 27 referral, and even if on the face of it, your Section 27 doesn't raise issues that may implicate any forfeiture issues, you, as a matter of course, just inform them of that.
That is correct, and they will make an assessment at the end. There are many matters where at the end of the assessment, there isn't a recovery to be made, either in terms of the civil and or the criminal recovery. But it is a matter of practice in the entire NPA that we do refer matters to asset forfeiture, be they to determine proceeds of crime or instruments of criminality.
So there would be a letter in this docket or this file, this CIN file, there would be a letter that is directed to the asset forfeiture unit that we must have, or we must find.
What we ordinarily do, when the team has its first meeting, they invite a colleague from the asset forfeiture unit. And as the matters progress within those meetings, there are engagements and it's usually emails that are shared between the colleagues, setting out what they require if they found anything. And because we are part of the NPA, it's not an invite per se, they are drawn into the matter.
So if we were minded to get more detail about what happened in the first meeting, we would expect, on your explanation, that because there's you seem to now say there's nothing in writing, that's fine. I don't quarrel if that's how you were doing things. But if we were to look into that first meeting, we would and we should find that there was a representative of the asset forfeiture unit,
There should
and
have
therefore
been.
such a person would be able to tell us, in fact, what happened in that meeting.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. Then perhaps just to close up that angle, please go to 3308. Same file, same document.
I sort out the recipes, Checker 6060 delivers.
Where the document provides the nature of crimes that are being investigated. On my reading of them, I don't see how, perhaps let me ask you a question. In which one in particular would SIU find a role?
So we also invite SIU where there are issues of procurement and or contracts.
Okay.
And they do assist us with the investigation to determine legitimacy of those contracts. It may turn out that there shouldn't be a further criminal investigation in that matter, and the SIU is able to deal with that contract, setting it aside and recouping the money for that department. Because that is generally part of that mandate.
So that's what would be what's set out in paragraph 1.7.
That would be correct.
Then my reading of this, and bearing in mind your explanation, this application for an investigation in terms of 2813 is broader than the section 27 as we have it, because my reading of section 27 does not include any allegations of fraud and corruption pertaining to awarding of tenders and contracts. Remember, that's file 2, page 512. The closest I get to is a general statement at paragraph 4, where Mr. Adams says he suspects that Generals Kumalo, Madondo, and Lushaba were manipulating procurement processes. That's as far as he takes it.
That is where you find it.
So, and we land with fraud and corruption pertaining to awarding of tenders and or contracts involving SAPs and or circumventing of procurement processes at 1.7.
And that also goes back, Council, to paragraph 4.
Yeah, I say at paragraph 4 of the section 27 affidavit speaks to manipulation of procurement processes and processes to appoint. The rest of the affidavit concentrates on processes to appoint, but it just that one throwaway line where Mr. Adams says he suspects manipulation of procurement processes and says nothing more beyond that. Remembering that beyond that he speaks of abuse of the funds, the Secret Service funds themselves, but that's not procurement.
No.
So I'm just interested in just reading that one-liner, how we end up with a potential.
Sorry, I just want to read that abuse of funds.
Okay.
Because I seem to think they have a correlation that the funds are
And then I say this on the assumption that abuse of the Secret Service Fund effectively means utilizing the funds not for the purpose they were intended for, which suggests an illegality, and that can never be termed procurement.
No. He, when he refers in paragraph 5, he
Okay.
talks to the unlawful access and use of the secret funds and the purpose for which those funds are accessed. And it doesn't talk to procurement. It talks to they are accessed in order to
Yes.
give to someone.
And at paragraph 5, all he says is his suspicion that the funds, as he says, quote, became taken unlawfully
Yes.
from the secret funds account to be given to the former police minister, Minister Becky Cele.
That
Close
is correct.
quote. That's not procurement.
No, that's not the procurement.
Okay.
Let me ask a more direct question on the back of that. What award or what tenders and contracts that were awarded did you investigate or your investigation involve arising from this referral? What tenders have you investigated and what contracts?
They are in the file that must be made available by midday today. That is a file that is still under inquiry, but that is where it relates to, Commissioner Baloyi. It's not in the dockets that were handed over.
In that file, we will find tenders or
In that file-
contracts that you investigate or you are investigating as a result of this Section 27 referral.
That is what I understand, yes.
Sorry,
I
what
just
does
want
it,
to
what
go
does
back
it mean?
into sorry.
You started off by saying it will be in that file. Now you say that's what you understand. What does that answer mean?
Because I had to ask what was in each file so that we could make the files available. Part of the file that must be made available is a complaint that was lodged by Mr. Adams. Commissioners would recall he talked of 3 dockets, then he talked of and a Langlaagte docket. From what I understand, that is where the investigations lie in terms of the procurement of contracts, as well as it is here.
Well, you may not be able to remember offhand, but my interest is in getting a clear answer from you that you, arising from the Section 27, you have investigated or you are investigating matters relating to specific tenders, because we are not speaking generally. There are tenders and contracts that you are investigating arising from the Section 27 referral, and we will find that in a file.
As soon as we get the file, I'll be able to confirm that.
You are unable to confirm now. Well, then you're going to make me ask the question that Ms. Selo asked you earlier, which is, well, if we don't find it, what are you saying? We pronounce about it or we comment about it?
if it's not in the file that I was told is the file dealing with Langlaagte and with contracts and procurement, then the same answer applies. Then there's a challenge with why it's not there.
Thank you.
And perhaps to take advantage and be more direct, 1.7, does it by any chance refer to the 360 million subcontract awarded to Medicare 24? Does it have anything to do with that?
Not at all.
It's a different contract.
Medicare was a separate
Okay.
Section 27 referral all on its own
Thank you.
and unrelated.
And while we are on this, do you know how far do we have a Langlaagte related inquiry and investigation into specifically those contracts here?
That is the file we're waiting for.
Oh, there is an inquiry into the Langlaagte complaint.
That is correct.
Noted. If we go to 3311 on the same file, we're still at file 8. I see there it's dated, at the top it should just show dated the 6th of December 2024. It's signed by you as the ID. Is that correct? How does it work? Because if we look at 3307, it's supposed to be directed to you from Advocate Santos Manilal and Advocate D. Ramsamy. How do you get to sign it? I don't see anywhere where either one of them signed. I would have expected for them to sign, to make application as the heading in the tram line suggests, and then you consider, and then you approve or not approve or you amend. So all I see is in this document. In this document, we are looking at a document addressed to you. And at 3311, it's signed by you, suggesting to a reader that you made this application to yourself. And I don't think that's how it's intended to read. How do I reconcile that with how it's supposed to read?
So how it is supposed to read is under 8, on 3310, Commissioners, under 8, there's 8.1. It is recommended that there was supposed to be a signature, either from Advocate Manilal or Ramsamy, and then for me to be able to agree and sign off the.
Are you saying that's how it's supposed to have read because that is how normally they read?
That's
or
how
do they all read as reflected here, that it's recommended that an investigation in terms of 2813 be undertaken and then you immediately sign as if you are the one recommending?
No, there should be space for me to comment,
Yes.
their signature, space for me to comment, and then the signature that followed on 3311.
And that's how normally they would be within IDAC.
That is correct.
Why is this one different?
I honestly can't tell you why, but it is different.
You signed it. I think there's more you can say about this, why it is different. I take it that when you read it,
Yes,
you saw that it doesn't have signature for either Advocate Ramsamy or Advocate Manilal. You saw that it doesn't have space or provision for you to make comment, and you saw that it requires you to sign it and date it. So you didn't sign blindly. You applied your mind to this
No, I
document.
did apply my mind to the recommendation, the signature notwithstanding.
Yes, but then who's recommending to you?
The lack of signature,
Lack of
notwithstanding.
signature.
Yeah.
And
In this,
with full application of mind, you thought it appropriate to sign?
Advocate Ramsamy, yes, She brought this application to me on the 5th. We went through the application, and I then signed the application.
Do you know what the risk is? And I don't know if you appreciate it. It's that, or maybe I'll put it differently. What would you say to perhaps an unfair claim that you and you alone drafted this document and you drafted it for yourself and you signed it and nobody else took part in that in the creation of that document? Would it be an unfair accusation, and what would your response there to be if you were confronted with such?
It would be an unfair accusation because there is a process that follows. The application is drafted by somebody and it is brought by them. This portion is missing in this matter. When you read it, it does make a recommendation from the author, which is from Manilal and Ramsamy. They make a recommendation. I agree with the recommendation and I have signed it. I accept that, as we always do, there should have been the signature and the space that we always have for comment, and the comment would have had to have been the recommendation as per 8.1 is either it's approved or not approved.
Did you not notice that before you signed it? Did you not notice that the people who are supposedly the authors of this document do not append their signatures or a date? Because a date is important, it's not just the signature. The same way you do with that 6 December date, the date when they give it to you, whether it's on the 5th or the 4th, is equally important. Did it not strike you as odd that at the end of the document their names do not appear, nor does the date when they gave you this document?
So, Chair, Commissioner Kumalo, I took the date as is, which is on the front of the document, which is the 5th of December 2024, yes, as being the date of the document.
But normally the same way you do, if you look at dated and signed at on 3311 and then your signature afterwards, the two usually go together. Because, for example, if now they distance themselves from this document and they say, well, we did not make the recommendation, how do we establish that they did in the absence of their signature or the date when they appended a signature to the document?
I hear you. But the document does come from them with the date. It just didn't have the signature. But I take your point. It is done. In IDAC, they do put it in as a memorandum request, and it is usually signed. There is space for comment, and then for me to indicate whether approved or not approved, and then the application is also attached.
And why did you not pick it up or raise it at the time? Because the way you are responding now, it looks like you are seeing this for the
I think, Ms. Johnson, unless there's a page missing or pages missing before page 3311, if that's all of it, if what we are looking at now is all of what was presented to you, then the other incomprehensible issue about this letter is that whoever drafted it, whether Mr. Manilal or Ms. Ramsamy, would in fact have put you down at 3311 as the signatory of this letter, because that's what it means. You're a signatory of this letter, and on the face of it, until there's an explanation, which is that the page is missing, then what Ms. Silo is proposing to you, it leads only to that conclusion, which is, well, you either drafted this letter yourself, or a letter was presented, and this is my addition, was presented to you, you made your own changes to it, and then you signed it off. It doesn't contain exactly what would have been presented to you. That's what it looks like on the face of it. And I allow for the fact that a page may be missing, and maybe you can pull out a page that shows that these people made the recommendation, and it provided for you to indicate your approval. But as it stands now, on the face of it, it suggests this is your production.
I can confirm it isn't, but I take the point that you're making about how it comes across.
What it looks like.
But it was not my document.
Yes.
I did not compile the document, and the
Yes.
document was presented.
And you understand my point about, if it's not a case of a page missing, then it would be strange that Mr. Manilal or Ms. Ramzame would have signed off at the bottom as if you are the writer of this letter.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And we know that from your previous testimony that following this authorization that we are dealing with at CJC 3905, page 3307, on that particular day as well, there was a hive of activity. 2 letters written to, I think it's Lieutenant General Mbuso Kumalo requesting the dockets, a letter to General Sintumole, your authorization of the panel, the designated members to look into this, and the presentation of himself by Mr. Rapesu at the inspectorate to go obtain the dockets. The 6th of December was a busy day.
Yes, ma'am.
Very. Is that like standard busy days for IDAC?
It is standard when they are starting with an investigation and they are looking for, it depends on what they're looking for.
Yes.
And in this instance, because they were looking for the dockets, allegations being that the dockets had been lost, it created its own sense of urgency, is to locate the dockets. Nothing else beyond that.
So you consider the investigation urgent?
The tracing of the dockets urgent, yes.
Why?
The dockets, the allegation by Adams is the dockets are already missing. We are given a referral. We need to register an investigation. The investigation is now registered in terms of 2813. And the first exercise out of that, in order to go forward, is to trace the dockets.
I don't understand why. The referral is not referring a complaint of interception. We settled that one.
Yes.
It's referring a complaint about conduct, specific conduct, as articulated in the section 27. My suggestion is the dockets become completely irrelevant. This is a new complaint that must be substantiated on its own terms. And if I'm anywhere close to being correct, I would like to understand what was the urgency about this particular investigation. Just the allegation that dockets are missing and it's enough to set fire to IDAC and everybody runs in all directions.
That's not what happened, Council.
Okay.
We found out on that day that the dockets must be in Gauteng. I know it sounds like a lot of, it happened in a phased approach. The investigators tried to determine where the dockets are. We then write to Major General Kumalo. He gives an indication of where the dockets are. We have to then follow that up. There's still time in that day to follow that up. And when we finally do follow where it is, we have to stand down because they can only then be made available on the Monday.
9th, yeah.
So it wasn't, we have to get it today. It was, where are they? As you get the information, you follow that information. And when the destination of those dockets was determined, and it was determined that they were in a safe and that they were with a specific general, we went back on Monday.
We didn't touch on it, although we dealt with it with Colonel Padiache about the urgency of obtaining these dockets. And perhaps we will turn to that next.
Okay.
And my idea is to make the point that IDAC dealt with this investigation as of the 6th of December as a matter of extreme urgency, and I just want to understand why. But I see it's 11:04, the commissioners need to break for tea.
Let's adjourn and return at 11:35. Let's
Thank you, Chair.
adjourn.
He spent 10 years making Carpe,
It's a quick drying lotion that stops odor and sweat.
and it comes in 9 premium fragrances.
Carpe works where other deodorants fail.
Carpe has made me feel more confident. I was in my microbiology lab class and we tested our armpits for bacteria. Out of the whole class, I ended up having the least amount of bacteria on my armpit.
Our formulas are mixed, our products are filled, and our orders are shipped.
From right here in the USA. We promise this will be the best deodorant you ever use for your money back.
Try Carpe today at mycarpe.com.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, Commissioners, I wasn't moving off topic, but just slightly off topic. And we've had opportunity to consider the documents filed last night and this morning by Advocate Johnson. And on a consideration of those documents, it has become necessary for the Commission to update their exhibit files because we have what could potentially be documents contradicting the very documents she has filed. And I was moving on to that topic now. A request has been extended that Advocate Johnson have opportunity to confer with her legal team regarding these seemingly contradictory statements before we traverse those issues during testimony. I don't know if Mr. Botlani would like to add anything.
I may just confirm, Commissioners, that it is so. I had a conversation with Ms. Siller last night about what was still outstanding from what had been requested of us. And then I made a request to those instructing me that every document that had been sought must be made available immediately. Even I hadn't had an opportunity to look at those documents. During the adjournment, Ms. Siller confirmed to me that she's going to deal with some of those documents. I conferred with the witness. The witness herself was shocked to learn that there are contradictory documents. We request at least about 15 or 20 minutes of a stand down so that we may consider those documents, confer with her, render advice if and when called upon to do so.
We'll come back when it's indicated to us then. Let us adjourn.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Sulu.
Thank you, Commissioners. I think we have used the time for the purposes requested. Your file 9 has been updated. I do trust so has your index, because mine has been. And it's been updated by the addition of 4 documents under CJC 394. So there'll be 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4. The documents provided by the witness pursuant to the request and the various subpoenas are attached as CJC 392 and their subs and CJC 393. So those are the documents provided by the witness. The documents we have just added that required Mr. Bodlani to consult with the witness are then CJC 394. That is just to locate us. Advocate Johnson, you confirm what I just informed the commissioners. I'm not misleading them, am I?
Correct.
Thank you. Let's go then to file 9, the very file we're talking about. And let's deal with 393, CJC 393, which should start at your page 3466. Commissioners, we ran copies of CJC 393 as received, but on a proper consideration thereof, it would appear that they were not filed in order. So I have tried to make some sense of them, and I suggest the pages be moved around.
Yes.
Advocate Johnson will confirm if I'm correct.
Yes.
And in that regard, if I say CJC starts at 3466, it's followed by 3467. It would appear that your current 3468 is what should be 3467. So if we could start by swapping those pages around. Do you agree with me, Advocate Johnson?
Correct.
Thank you. So the current 68 should be 67. And the current...
But what about the fact that 3467 as is says 1 of 1?
Because it will go with 3469. That, what's currently 3467, and I suggest B8, is the document that we have in our file already. You will recall, Chair, our A1 statement at file 2, page 681. It accords with 3467 and 3469. So that page seems to have been mislaid.
I know for the most part this is illegible, but below the rectangle of the current 3468,
Yes.
there's something that appears to be a page number there. I can't read it.
It might appear as a 3.
As a 3, I thought so.
Yes.
Now, if we take 3468 to come under the current 3466, are those supposed to follow each other consecutively?
They would seem to, because if one has regard to 3466, that's the start of the case docket.
Okay.
And then when I get to the current 3468, which we suggest be amended to 67, that seems to be the CAS checklist. And the date appearing at 3468 in the second block is the 29th of October 2024. So it doesn't tally with the statement of January 2025.
So I changed the 3467 to 3468.
That's what we propose.
Okay.
Then that will read and be followed logically by 3469.
Sorry, Council, may I,
Yes, ma'am.
through you, Chair, may I just so the 3466, if you look at the top, it's got a A1, then a little one in brackets. Then it follows on 3468, it's got a A1 and a little 2 in brackets. But please look at 3470. There seems to be a A1 with a little 3 in brackets. And then it seems 3471 has a A1 with a little 4 in brackets. And I'm not sure if those are the ones that are supposed to go consecutively.
No, I'm going to come to that.
Thank you.
Because beyond the 4 pages I've dealt with, if you look at what was 3467 that I suggest be 68, that is the preamble to the statement, and it bears cast number 542/06/2025. That at the bottom, it's dated the 6th of January 2025. We have dealt with this preamble together with its statement, and that is our current A1 statement at file 2, page 681. And you are quite correct, Advocate Johnson. It gets messier going forward, but we'll try. For the record, Chair, you will recall that we have the report by General Jacobs, who has General Jacobs is annexed to MK15, page 275. There is a table there that correlates the Orlando and Cape Town dockets, MK15. That's General Mkwanazi's annexure bundle, MK15. And in particular, there says the report by Lieutenant General Jacobs. And at page 275, it sets out a useful table. And that correlates the Cape Town dockets with the Orlando dockets. If one has regard to that table, I would say there are 3 Cape Town dockets, 1650 referred to in block 2 and 3, 1651 referred to in block 1, and 1653 referred to in the final block on the table.
Sorry, Council, you're on page?
I'm page 275, ma'am.
275,
Yes.
thank you.
So if we use that as a guide and now go into our file 9, the current file, at page 3470, that is the cast number 1650. So page 3470 and 3471 bear the same cast number 1650/10/2024, and it's followed by a handwritten statement. And at 3474 is an entry in the investigation diary. I can't make out whose, but once again, it bears the same cast number 1650. Then you get to page 3475. It's a typed affidavit, but it is followed once again by wrong documents. And on my reading, subject, of course, to correction, 3475 should be followed by 3478. which means 76 and 77 are in the wrong place. Then if,
Just to stop.
I think as to correct, so that when we reference the pages. So our current 3478 should be 3476. And the current 76 and 7A should, and 77 should be 77 and 78 respectively. Then that takes us to 3479, which is once again a typed affidavit that seems complete, and the subsequent documents seem to be in their correct order. Are you with me thus far, Advocate Johnson?
I am.
So what you then provided are the dockets of cases opened, the 3 dockets opened in Cape Town. We have the cover sheet of that case docket at 3466.
Sorry, Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Before you go too far, the current 3478, which is also marked A14, you said it belongs where?
It seems to go with 34, the old 347. You said the
3478?
The current 3478, I think, goes with, is follows up on 3475, and I suggest it be numbered 76. It looks like the end of that affidavit starting at 3475. And yes, Commissioner Baloyi, I agree with you that the current 3478 reads exactly as 3480. Yes. I take it it's the second page of either of both affidavits. So you don't get rid of any one of them. You need both pages to make sense of the affidavits, yes. And if, for a moment, let's stay with 3475. As currently filed, the affidavit starting at 3475 doesn't have an ending. That is why I propose to bring 3478 forward to make it an ending to 3475. But if then we go to 3780, that appears to be the ending. Matters is worded in exactly the same terms, seems to be the ending to the affidavit starting at 3479. Well, Commissioner Kumalo nods his head. He seems to agree with me.
There was a slightly different problem.
Yes.
In the photocopies, one page was copied twice in one of the photocopies.
No,
it won't be in yours, so you
okay.
won't notice
I won't
that
understand
problem.
that, okay.
Sorry, Counsel.
Yes, ma'am.
To which page did you direct us now?
No,
34?
we're still trying to sort out which page follows which, then we're going to start. Thank you, Commissioner. So then we start at the beginning of CJC 393, that's at your page 3466. And these are the documents you provided us. Unfortunately, that page, the case docket, it's barely legible, but at least in the top center block, you can make out the case number, and I read it as 1650/10/2024. That is then followed by the reposition 3467, And you will note in the second block, it's got the date of 29/10/2024, signed by Captain, I can't make out the name, but the captain. Then it jumps to 3468, our new 3468, and it's got case number 542/06/2025. That's a Brooklyn case, and that's what we call the Mukwele case. For your notes, that is the front page of the A1 statement as we already have it at file 2, page 681, together with the following page at 3469. Then once again, at 3470, it's a Cape Town 1650/10 statement. So that's when the case was opened in Cape Town. At 3471, bearing the same case number, we know the offense there is defeating the ends of justice. And 3472 is Mr. Adams's handwritten statement. I assume that it is in respect of case number 1650. There is nothing that tells me, unless perhaps the content just might do, so we retained it there. And at 3473, you will note, Commissioners, that it was commissioned on the 29th of October 2024 at 1500 hours. And that is then followed by 3474, which is a copy of the investigation diary signed by Captain somebody there, and references the statement taken from Mr. Adams. Now, that we should consider that as the pack for case number 1650. Now, you recall, Advocate Johnson, we're going through this exercise because we established that IDAC received a Section 27 affidavit on the 27th or 21st? 21st of November 2024. And the idea, I think we've established that it was fairly deficient for compliance with Section 27 itself. And you indicated that the dockets, the relevant dockets, the A1 statements in there, plus the supplementary statement, would cure whatever legal deficiency there was in the original affidavit. And collectively, that's what informs the Section 28 summons. That's the purpose of this entire exercise. So let's look at 1650, this one that we've been discussing, which would start at page 3466 to 3474. If you go to page 3472, that is Mr. Adams's statement. Another time he opened this case in Cape Town, I'm at 3472 in the second paragraph. It reads, a cover-up of Major General Lushaba's Sunnyside case of robbery, whereby official state firearm, laptop, and cell phone was stolen after acquiring the services of a prostitute on 5 August 2022. Lieutenant General Kumalo instructed Major Likalakala and Brigadier, looks like either Monyani or Monyana, it fell off in the copying, to ensure that there would be no investigation into the conduct of General Lushaba as per Valeria case 38/822. The prostitute was paid for her silence using monies from the Secret Service account. New equipment was bought for Major General Lushaba by again abusing the Secret Service account. Evidence to this effect is available. You see where I'm reading?
Yes.
So this particular case relates to the so-called cover-up of General Lushaba's, I don't know if it's a crime, misconduct, but concerns with how Major General Lushaba ended up losing his equipment. I then look at the statements that you have provided, A1 statements that you have provided. These start from page 3479. There are 3 statements. And none of them speak to this particular issue raised in docket number 1650 in Cape Town.
On
The statements,
3485.
they go 3484. That's how far they go to 3484.
Yes, what I'm saying is that.
Oh, sorry,
sorry.
3486.
Yes, but
3486.
is council saying that other than that handwritten statement, there isn't another statement referring to the issue of the Lushaba housebreaking?
No, relating to the cover-up by General Kumalo, who instructed Major General Legalakala and Brigadier Munyani or Munyana to ensure that there is no investigation. The statement we are looking at 3485, on my reading, speaks to the housebreaking. And overleaf at 3486, he says, after making this report, I make inquiries. And Mr. Adams says that he could not get a case number, as concerned that my report was being swept under the carpet. I don't see in this January 2025 statement any allegation pertaining to the conduct of General Kumalo, General Lekalakala, and General Munyama. Do you?
I see that.
You confirm that. And then staying at 3472, it concludes with the words, evidence to this effect is available. Did IDAC ever obtain that evidence?
I'm unable to respond to that. I don't know that we did get.
Sorry, I missed that.
I'm unable to respond to that. I'm unaware of what follow-up they would have made.
Now, do you know who within IDAC became the investigator in this particular complaint?
The one with Lushaba,
Yes,
that is Mr. Padiachi.
Mr. Padiachi.
Yes.
So if anyone should have called for that evidence, it would be Mr. Padiachi.
Correct.
If you go to 3474, that is the investigation diary of, I think, the officer who took the complaint. I'm looking at line 8, where it describes the modus operandi. It appears that suspect, Lieutenant General Kumalo from SAPS, Secret Services, neglected protocol and instructed Major General Legalakala and Brigadier Munyani to not conduct investigations against General Lushaba. So that is the officer's interpretation of what's contained, the summary of the A1. Okay, then if we move forward then to 3475, we're just following the sequence of the page numbers. What we have here at 3476 now is the statement by Mr. Adams, commissioned by Mr. Perumal. At paragraph 2, you will recognize that that statement is our A1 statement in the docket. At file 2, page 3478, we have, no, it's not this one. My apologies, I take it back. This is a second issue now. The allegations related, I'm reading at paragraph 2, fourth line. The allegations related to the highly questionable appointment of General Khumalo as the head of crime intelligence nationally. The former Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, was also involved in this, while several high-skilled generals within CI were overlooked. At paragraph 3, Khumalo's vetting processes were allegedly fast-tracked by Masemula, who knew that Khumalo did not have a top-secret clearance for many years. And then the last line at paragraph 3, I suspect that the vetting processes were manipulated in favor of Khumalo as well. My interpretation of what's contained in paragraphs 2 and 3 is that former Minister Bheki Cele was involved in the questionable appointment of General Khumalo and overlooking other highly skilled generals. And secondly, at 3, Khumalo's process was allegedly fast-tracked by Masemula, who knew that Khumalo did not have a top clearance certificate. I don't know. I take it fast-tracking in and of itself is not a crime, but what's sought to be expressed here is the unlawful conduct by Minister Cele had the support and participation of General Masemula. Do you get to the same conclusion as well?
Yes.
Now, you remember Section 28 that has got a list of people. This is the only statement I found where current generals or high-ranking members of crime intelligence, where their security clearances are questioned. And I see only General Khumalo. I can't find any other basis for General Madondo, Galakala, and that entire list. And I do not have any other A1 statement that introduces them by Mr. Adams being the complainant.
If you look at, through your chair, if we look at 3479, paragraph 2, on or about early October 2024, I received information anonymously surrounding alleged fraud and corruption being perpetrated within the Division Crime Intelligence of the SAPS. The allegations related to the questionable lateral transfer of Major General Madondo from KZN to CI head office by Lieutenant General Khumalo, who was assisted by other senior generals to do so, knowing that she failed a top secret clearance for many years. That is where I see it.
Okay, so that statement then introduced General Madondo.
That statement introduces.
You remember we have Brigadier Van Vuren, we have, I think, Brigadier Bobby, we have Nube, we have all of them. There are about 8 in our Section 28. We account for only 2 if these statements get us there, but just for the moment accept that they do. We have only 2 whose vetting clearances are questioned. Do you read the documents as I do?
Yes. In these, the vetting that is being questioned is that of General Khumalo and General Madondo.
Yes. So our Section 28 in part remains unanswered. We don't know why you are inquiring into the vetting of the remainder of the people listed there, except, of course, for Brigadier Mukwele, because her statement is different. My second question is, if page 3475 suggests that former Minister of Police Bheki Cele was involved in this, I take this to be the crime. Am I reading it correctly? Duly assisted and, by General Masemola, who fast-tracked the clearance of General Kumalo, knowing that Kumalo did not have a top secret clearance for many years. My first question, what crime is being complained of here?
I am aware that from a certain rank, they are all supposed to have security clearances as per their own internal requirements. And that not having security clearance at a specific rank does not allow you to occupy that rank.
Yes.
Yes. And so for me, it would be, it is more a contravention of either the Intelligence Services Act and or the contravention of a standing order of the South African Police Services.
And what crime is that?
So in this paragraph,
If I may just add, remember, we should keep at the back of our minds Section 7, bracket 1, bracket capital A. What crime is that to bring whatever was happening here, assuming it is correct, within the mandate of IDAC?
so we are reading one statement.
Yes.
And the question you asked in council is based just only on this paragraph and what crime it commits.
On the vetting issue.
On the vetting issue.
Yes, on the vetting issue.
So if a vetting is fast-tracked, what crime is committed? So if a national commissioner fast-tracks the vetting of one of his generals, what crime is committed there?
The likelihood, Commissioner Kumalo, is that in the manner in which it is done, that there could be fraud having been committed because there are certain processes that happen and there's, it can't happen in 3 days. There's checks, there's, you've got to go and do background checks, financial checks. There's quite a few things that must happen. So it would mean that either something fraudulent happened, which could be the only case, but the bypassing of the vetting would be a contravention then in terms of the intelligence services. So other than the fraud, if it took place, there isn't anything else there that would bring it into the mandate.
The question, Ms. Silla's question is, what places that within the mandate of IDAC? Even if what you're suggesting were to be shown to have happened, they fast-tracked it and they committed some fraud in the process, why would that be something that falls within your mandate in 7(1)A?
Just merely in terms of the fraud, nothing else.
But you do remember that when you appeared last time, you accepted that the fraud, theft, and that list, forgery and uttering, they have to be related.
Yes.
To the main.
To a financial crime.
Yeah.
Or commercial crime.
A serious corruption. So why do you say that would be so in this case? Why would the fast tracking of a security clearance or vetting constitute a serious crime of corruption that falls within 7(1)A?
I hear you, Commissioner Baloy. I can't take it further than the point that you've made.
Is another way to your answer a clearer way that you don't see why it would be a crime
As it stands here, I cannot
that
say.
comes within your mandate?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Mr.
And we know that General Khumalo is facing charges and potential arrest under case 453/06/2025, and that's pertaining to the vetting issue. Is that correct? The warrant of arrest that was suspended, it relates to the vetting issues, doesn't it?
I speak under correction. It relates to the vetting issue of General Madondo.
Of General Madondo?
Yes.
And
the fraud related to that vetting.
not General Khumalo's own
Not
vetting?
General Khumalo's vetting. Okay. It relates to a role he played allegedly in
General
that
Madondo.
contravention.
Thanks for that. Thank you for that clarification. When you...
So he potentially faces an arrest for something that may not fall within the mandate of IDAC, given this last discussion that you and I had.
I cannot say that not having full sight of all the evidence, given that the allegations against General Madondo in that matter relate pertinently, from my recollection, to her having committed fraud, having misrepresented her position, and that he then knowingly accepted that fraud and then perpetuated the process further, not the vetting.
Yeah, that's why I limited my question to our vetting discussion, that insofar as that a charge that he's facing may relate to vetting, one of the charges, if there's more than one, may relate to vetting, that potentially may be a charge which doesn't fall within the mandate of IDAC, given what we have discussed.
Yes, it would only be the fraud relating
Yes.
to the alleged fraudulent documents, remarks, etc., that would have been made by General Madondo.
Thank you.
Johnson, do you not sign off on the processes that lead to the warrant being issued? Does that happen behind your back? I was under the impression all along that before your investigators can seek warrants, they have to come to you for sign-off.
No, Commissioner. What they do is before they sit with the prosecutors, and they then compile those applications for the warrants. They are checked by the prosecutors and by the deputy in that team.
So you play no part in that process?
Not in the warrant process. We are then briefed afterwards that, or before the warrant is executed, sorry, Chair, that before it is executed, we are then briefed that there is an impending arrest.
Thank you, Commissioners. Then on the logic of case number 453/06/25, against General Khumalo regarding General Madondo's vetting, or the lack thereof, I take it IDAC is preparing to charge and arrest former Minister Bheki Cele and General Masemula for General Khumalo's own vetting shortcomings. Logic dictates that that should follow.
As I indicated, I'm not vested with the cases at the moment, but that logic does
That
follow.
logic does.
Yes. I can't argue the logic away.
It's on the logic of your answer. Would it be appropriate to be investigating such and threatening to arrest Minister Bekicele, former Minister Bekicele, and General Masemula, for the fact that General Kumalo was hired into crime intelligence without vetting clearance, in the absence of any fact that he in fact did not have clearance, which was an absolute prerequisite for his appointment. Is it appropriate to follow that line of investigation culminating in potential charges and arrest based on what you have at 3475?
No, unless they fall within other offenses that are not here.
Well, it doesn't have other offenses thus
Yes,
far. And this is a statement that was commissioned by Mr. Perumal on the 6th of January 2025, as you see from page 3746. And just like our previous
Sorry, page
3476, you remember we changed?
3476, yes.
Yeah. We changed numbers,
Yes.
numbering. Just like the previous one we had, they seem to have this perennial problem of being signed both at Pretoria and Cape Town. It's consistent, that error, through all of them. Are you able to shed some light as to how this comes about?
So, when the Commissioner of Oaths chair fills in, the Commissioner of Oaths fills in, as you see, they sign their full names, their office, the address of where they are stationed, and the agency for which they work. It is for that reason, on the right under Mr. Perumal, you will have the full names, ex officio, he's a chief investigator, the investigating directorate, corruption, IDAC, Brooklyn, Pretoria, National Prosecuting Authority of South Africa, Pretoria. The part immediately under Mr. Adams' under Mr. Adams' signature, that says where they were when they took it, which was, they took it on the 6th day of January 2025, and it was done in Cape Town, with Adams having signed in Cape Town. Mr. Perumal signs as the Commissioner of Oaths, but that address that he appends is the address for where he is stationed as the Commissioner of Oaths.
No, if I may just interject, I apologize. Okay. My challenge lies in the wording above Mr. Perumal's signature. You see it reads thus, done and signed to at Pretoria on the 6th day of February, that's typed. And at the conclusion of that paragraph, it says, in my presence at Cape Town.
No, they have to explain. That I hope is just an honest error.
Well, it happens across all of them.
Yeah, because it's, if we work on the logic of how it's up, everything else is logical, including the date stamp, because IDAC only has a national office, which is Pretoria, but they, Councillor, can't argue that away.
Oh, no, I'm not attributing it to you in any way. I thought perhaps you might be able to shed some light.
No, I absolutely cannot.
If we then go to 3477, it's a preamble to a statement, but this one, if you note the top right corner, it doesn't have a CAS number. And at 3478, it lists fraud and corruption as the offenses. And as you correctly pointed out earlier, the statement, it doesn't have a handwritten statement from the docket by Mr. Adams. Somehow it's not available. What we have instead at 3479 is a statement, once again of the 6th of January, signed by Mr. Adams and commissioned by Mr. Perumal. This is the affidavit you referred to a short while ago regarding the case, the transfer of Major General Madondo.
Correct.
And now this is the case you suggest both General Madondo and General Kumalo were due to be arrested for in June 2026. I understood you correctly.
This would be Brooklyn 543.
That's what you had indicated earlier. We know 453 is in respect of the top secret clearances. You recall when we were looking
Yes,
at...
that would be, yes, if you look at, I think, sorry, Chair, I don't mean to waste time.
No, not at all. With the chair's permission, of course.
Because if you look at 3481 and 3482, if the numbers have remained, that's Brooklyn CAS 543 of 6/2025, and that is the CAS that then refers, yes, correct, to Madondo and Komado.
Now, staying at 3479 then, we say the allegations relate to the questionable lateral transfer of Major General Madondo from KZN to CI head office by Lieutenant General Kumalo, who was assisted by other senior generals to do so, knowing that she had failed to secure a top clearance for many years. First leg of that, why is IDAC charging General Madondo for that based on what Mr. Adams alleges? What wrong did she commit by being laterally transferred? There is no suggestion that she committed fraud by misrepresenting or otherwise her clearance position or status.
It is not in this paragraph, but I do understand that that is what is being investigated in 543 of 6/2025, is fraud committed in getting, she committed fraud in order to have herself laterally transferred.
How do you land there? This is all you have regarding her transfer.
Yes.
How do you land at a place where you say she committed fraud?
No, I'm saying it is not in here.
Where is it?
It is in the rest of the docket where they have other statements. They're not Adam's statements. So I take your point again, as we did about the vetting, but just to indicate that there was in fact a fraud investigation that was undertaken, given her own allegedly fraudulent conduct. It's not in this paragraph. I accept that.
I take it that by the time we apply for an arrest warrant, the charges are finalized. And I know that is the docket we had agreed we will tread carefully around.
Yes.
But on the basis that you have an arrest warrant, that suggests you have an application for a J50, which suggests you have finalized the charges. So those are more or less cast in stone. From your recollection, what is the fraud she's said to have committed without undermining whatever ongoing investigations there are? If you can.
I have the answer, but I'm unable to answer it without casting aspersions on General Madondo on a matter that is still pending review.
You are about to arrest her, Advocate Johnson,
Yes.
on the strength of a charge sheet
Yes,
that criminalizes some or other of her conduct.
yes.
I think you may disclose. You can't take that back. The only way you can take it back is for that warrant of arrest to be withdrawn and the charges dropped. So it doesn't, the nature of the fraud that underpins that charge and justifies the J50 remains. Whether you say it here or you don't say it, it's there on record. It can be changed.
I understand that, but if Chair, you will allow me, this matter is under review. I am cautious, having removed myself from the matter, that I shouldn't be saying anything that has the potential to prejudice that outcome. The review relates to representations she may have made, and it goes to an independent panel. And I'm merely saying that any utterances I make might have a negative influence. And I shouldn't do that because that matter should be adjudicated on the strength of what is there before an independent panel. I'm not sure if the chair would allow me that, but that is the basis on which, Chair. I'm not trying to be obstinate. It is the basis on which I
I'll
would
support you
prefer
in
not
your-
to answer.
I'll support you in your request to the chair. I'll leave it there. I will not pursue it any further.
Can you please articulate what you said again, Ms. Silva?
Chair, Advocate Johnson made a heartfelt plea to the commissioners.
Yes, I heard that part.
What
I'm not quite sure I followed what you said.
what I said was, I shall not pursue the matter further.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah. Well, I hear Ms. Silla is not going to pursue the matter further, but I want to ask a different question. You're related to this. Your code of conduct says something about you examining or satisfying yourself about whether evidence was lawfully obtained or material that is potentially going to be used as evidence was obtained lawfully or not. It says that. Now, we know in this affidavit, and your code says that, I think you must be familiar with it. If you want to check, you can look at D2, G, and then I think, rather H, in fact. And then if you want, you can look at I, but you're familiar with this. Now, in this affidavit, Mr. Adams says that this information about General Madondo, he knows it from the documents that were pushed under his door in Parliament. And you remember we had this conversation last week about crime intelligence information having clearly been obtained, not lawfully given. Did you, when you see an affidavit that says this, or when you get a briefing, because you must have been given a briefing, I expect you would have asked the question, how do we know this? Where did we get this information about the vetting of General Madondo? And you would have been told, what were you told about it? How this information was obtained?
According to the feedback, the information was obtained, Commissioner Baloy, through the Section 28 subpoena processes that followed after the 6th January engagements with Mr. Adams.
Okay.
So documents were subpoenaed
So
and they would have been provided.
Well, in his affidavit, he tells you, or he tells Mr. Perumal, how he received this information, the very affidavit you're looking at, and he
Yes.
says, I attach here 2 documents which were pushed under my door, my office door at Parliament, and which relate to Madondo's application. Now, it doesn't call her General, so I'm reading, it's not me being disrespectful to General Madondo, which relate to Madondo's application for security clearance marked FA. So Mr. Perumal, or Chief Perumal, knows from this that he's now receiving and looking at information that that was not lawfully obtained, and that Mr. Adams is not entitled to have access to and to have sight of. And so my question to you is, was that inquiry that your code of conduct says you must satisfy yourself whether that evidence was lawfully obtained, was that done in this case? Or you were all just happy to get the information and then carry on because it takes you down a particular path of inquiry?
No, Commissioner Baloy. I hadn't gone through the details of all his A1s, but I do see here where reference is marked to FA1. I have not seen FA1. In fact, when we were conferring, I was saying, am I missing something? Where's the FA1 that ought to have been here? If, in fact, FA1 was provided to Mr. Perumal, then we have to determine what that FA1 was. And if it is a classified document, then that is a problem. That should be dealt with. I haven't seen FA1 at all.
Yeah, let's assume that FA1 is exactly what Mr. Adams says it is. He says it relates information or a document that relates to Madondo's application for security clearance. Let's assume that for purposes, because that's what he tells us. Let's assume it's that and it was attached. You say it's a problem, it should be dealt with. What is a problem about it? What is the problem that you say it is a problem, and when you say it should be dealt with, what does that mean?
So, if the document is in fact a classified document, there are two things. One, Mr. Adams should not have been in possession of the classified document. If it isn't a classified document, we all agree that that isn't a challenge. If it is is it not a challenge though, even if it's not a classified document, it's crime intelligence information. He didn't get it lawfully. It contains the personal information of a person, and he's telling your investigator, your chief investigator, that this was not given to me by General Madondo. It was under my door.
It was put under my door. So we know he didn't get it properly. Yes. So it seems to me it really doesn't matter. It may have different consequences in terms of the extremity of the consequences of it, but it remains a problem, even if it's not classified, no?
Correct.
Yes.
And so steps should be taken.
Yes.
For the handling of a document.
And those steps would be, those steps would be against Mr. Adams for being in possession of crime intelligence documents that are
classified or unclassified.
That are not in the public domain.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
I want
Thank
to
you.
ask you, Advocate Silo. Advocate Johnson, these affidavits, how does IDAC ensure that the affidavits are independent of IDAC's investigators? It bothers me that it is IDAC that goes to the complainant, purportedly to obtain a statement. And then the same IDAC investigator commissions that statement. How does IDAC does not push that agenda to ensure that the follow-up affidavits now contain the information that will clothe IDAC with jurisdiction it did not have when the complaint first came in? I mean, is it not more appropriate to say, your statement is not enough, go make a statement that deals with these issues, have it commissioned, and then give it to IDAC, instead of IDAC being the one that solicits the affidavit and commissions the very affidavit it has solicited?
So, if I can start one step back. Ordinarily, Commissioner Khumalo, and I know that this is within your remit and knowledge, when investigators, and it's not just IDAC, or whether it is the detectives, including DPCI, they go and take statements of the witness, and they commission the statement. The check and balance that we have sought within all of the law enforcement fields over the years is to ensure that it's not one investigator going down to take a statement. In this instance, it was the prosecutor, Advocate Ramsamy, who was supposed to have been present, together with Mr. Mansa and Mr. Perumal. So much so that it must be an engagement with the witness, and as the witness talks to the issues, they are noted. And then the statement is drafted. It has to be read back to the witness, and when the witness agrees, the statement is signed and commissioned.
That's what happened in this case?
In this case, that is why there were the three of them. And that is the practice. I'm unfortunately not
Is
in...
it to avoid the very issue that I'm raising, that it cannot be
One
the
person-
same investigator going to a witness and saying, do a statement for me and I will commission it for you?
Correct.
Especially in circumstances where even the original Section 27 was solicited by the same investigator. It's different from a police case where a complainant would come to a police station and would lay a complaint or make a statement. Then the investigating officer would do follow-ups. Here, the original statement is solicited by the same person who commissions the follow-up statements.
I hear you, Commissioner. I can't take it further than the point I made about why there's more than one person who goes.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of perhaps advice and recommendation, it should be stipulated that it is preferable that that kind of engagement not happen and it be an independent investigator.
And I'm not suggesting that this is what happened here.
I understand.
But you can see the danger of an investigator who doesn't like a Sandile Kumalo finding a complainant and say, you know, we're going after Kumalo, so make a statement along the lines of Section 27. I will commission it for you. And on the basis of the very statement, I will then commence an investigation against, you know, the person that I don't like.
I take Commissioner's point.
Thank you, Commissioners. Yes, Commissioner.
Just to clarify names, you have more than once referred to Mr. Manta. Is
Yes,
that the
ma'am.
same person as Mr. Rapesu?
Rapesu.
It's the same person. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner. I thought it was yet another person. I had him down as Mr. Manta. Oh, okay, clarified. Staying with 3479.
Sorry, 34?
Staying with page 3479. This is regarding General Madondo. And following on your engagement with Commissioner Baloyi, I'm at paragraph 3. We know the complaint is that she got this lateral transfer without a top secret clearance certificate. At paragraph 3 states, Madondo poses a risk to CI, the subs, and the country. I'll skip the next sentence. The last one, I don't understand how a senior officer who cannot be trusted is able to access and be in possession of intelligence reports and documents. Now, on the basis of these allegations and subsequent investigations, then IDAC has charged General Madondo in terms of CAS 453/06/25, correct?
Correct.
Why, I take it Mr. Adams is also being charged. What's good for the goose must be good for the gander. If General Madondo not having that clearance certificate poses a risk to CI, the subs, and the country, I dare say so too is Mr. Adams. You agree that he doesn't have you're not aware of him having a top secret clearance certificate, and yet he is handling documents seemingly that come from crime intelligence and for which he doesn't have lawful access or authorized access. Once again, we are in that logical terrain where I say, if we accept that General Madondo has committed a crime and poses the risk that is articulated at paragraph 3, so equally too must Mr. Adams. Logic would dictate for me unless I'm persuaded otherwise.
No, logic dictates correctly.
Yeah, correct. So we can expect IDAC to act at least on their very whistleblower on this part, on this point.
If I speak under correction.
Absolutely.
But he is arrested, I think, amongst others, for this contravention.
By IDAC?
Not by IDAC.
No, it's
Yes.
IDAC. Remember,
Yes.
it's IDAC who sought to arrest General Madondo.
Yes.
And this is part of the same investigation, facts flowing
Absolutely.
from the same investigation.
The
So
law-
arresting General Madondo, equally I say,
Should
unless
be-
there's a reason why IDAC then decides not to take action against Mr. Adams. Would there be a legitimate explanation for that?
No.
Okay. Well, we will see. Lastly, when we started last week, we've been asking about the documents that Mr. Adams says, he does say so in his Section 27, that were shoved under his door at Parliament. Now, he says here, specifically those which relate to Madondo's application for security clearance marked FA1. That tells me that IDAC has those documents. They are within IDAC.
And that is where we need to look at is the document that we said would come just before lunch, the other file. And I did send you that file, Advocate Maga.
Oh, we'll check that, but at least for
So
the
we must
moment,
check
we
it.
know that IDAC has them.
It should be in that file, yes?
No, you are answering the way. I'm saying for a fact, IDAC has FA1. The documents that were part of the documents shoved under Mr. Adams' door.
I cannot answer till I see the file because
No.
I didn't see FA1.
The affidavit is telling you. The affidavit itself says they are attached marked FA1.
Yes, if he's given them as FA1, then they must be there.
FA1
I'm
is
saying
not,
I did not
at
see
least
them,
FA1
yes.
is not in the file that I got. The sheaf of papers you gave me doesn't have FA1. But I argue to you that on the basis of what he says at 2, Mr. Adams, I have no reason to doubt that Mr. Adams gave the investigators those documents which he marked FA1 to this particular statement. So IDAC has them. It can be a quibble, otherwise
No.
you are forced to then say Mr. Adams is misleading in that affidavit at paragraph 2, and you've got no basis as far as I'm aware to say so.
Correct.
So I know this affidavit was commissioned by Mr. Perumal on the 6th of January 2025. You said to Commissioner Balo you haven't seen FA1. To your knowledge, is Mr. Perumal available to assist us if we're to make an immediate inquiry regarding FA1, this annexure? And would he be able to, even if on an emergency basis, just to present himself before the commission tomorrow morning to speak to these matters?
He is unable to.
Why not?
I'm not sure if counsel did speak.
If I may assist you.
Yes.
When we sought some of the documents that the evidence leaders wanted, I think the docket concerning Langlachte, we received an instruction to the effect that the person in possession of that docket is Mr. Perumal. And we sought instructions as to whether we can have a conversation with him. We were informed that he's not well. He was hospitalized during the course of the past weekend, so that we also didn't have access to him. The information I received last night was to the effect that he was discharged during the course of yesterday, and that attempts would be made to get that docket from his office, but we haven't had access to him at all. Fortunately for me, I haven't a medical certificate of any kind. So I don't know what is the actual problem with him. Hopefully during the course of lunch, one will get an idea, because part of the promise that was given to us was that that docket would probably be available around about lunchtime, because somebody was going to be dispatched to his office during the morning session today to try locate it. So we'll get some information during the course of lunch, and hopefully we'll have something to say to you after the lunch adjournment.
Thank you, Mr. Bodlani.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Bodlani. Then if I may, as has become standard request, that as you communicate with Mr. Perumal, I don't know how, this is one of the documents that we are looking for. We're looking for the FA1 to the affidavit that he commissioned on the 6th of January.
Commissioner, through you, I will take a chance at lunchtime, because it is important to do so, and see if we can get him on the telephone. If not, if there's a family member that does answer and is able to answer their question, is just to ask if he can just give us an indication. That much I will try. But
Thank
for
you so
the
much.
docket, I'm aware that someone would bring it to us not later than lunch.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much, Advocate Johnson. I'm indebted. The next statement we have is at 3483. And once again, you'll see at 3484, it's commissioned on the 6th of January 25. It's got that Pretoria Cape Town problem as well, and by Mr. Perumal. This is the one that I say, we've seen this statement before. It's the Mukwele A1. And I think we have dealt with it sufficiently extensively. My last statement that we've provided to the Commission is at 3485. And this one, you referred us to it earlier. This is regarding the break-in and at General Lushaba's house. But this particular statement I see is commissioned by Manta Robert Rapesu in Cape Town on the 6th of January 2025, as you see from page 3486. This one, at least as to where it was commissioned, is not as schizophrenic. It says Cape Town.
Yeah, so they
Yes,
didn't move Pretoria to Cape Town for this
Yeah,
one.
for this one, yes. But it's still on the 6th of January.
Yes, correct.
Now, from CJC 394, those are the documents that the Commission added. Those are the ones we received. And there are 4 of them. If you flip through them, they're all commissioned by Mr. Mancha Rapesu on the 6th of January 2025 in Cape Town. The testimony that we will hear, and you indicated this earlier, that the 2 investigators and prosecutor, is it Advocate Ramsamy?
Correct, ma'am.
Advocate Ramsamy, Investigator Rapesu, Investigator Perumal went to Cape Town on the 6th of January. No, went to Cape Town. And on the 6th of January, obtained statements from Mr. Adams. I think 5 in total. And that all those statements were commissioned by Mr. Rapesu in the presence of the other 2 being Investigator Perumal himself and Advocate Ramsamy.
Correct.
And that what we have at CJC 394 are the actual statements taken on the day. And that the statements we have spent the last time working through, commissioned by Mr. Perumal, are a post-fact fabrication. Both witnesses disavow the validity of all these statements, that on the 6th of January, Mr. Perumal did not commission any statement. That's the evidence that we shall hear.
Okay.
And that they were all commissioned by Mr. Rapesu. To that end, because we are armed now with 2 sets of statements, much like Cape Town Orlando situation dockets, but that don't speak to each other, the witnesses say they do not know the statements purported to be commissioned by Mr. Perumal.
Okay.
They attest to the documents that the Commission has submitted this morning at CJC 394. It was a bit of a mental exercise to try and marry them, and both have provided short voice notes to explain why it is they challenge the validity of these documents commissioned by Mr. Perumal. And Chair, Commissioners, through you, I beg leave to play. They are very short notes.
Before you do that, does that include 3485? Because 3485 was
It is by Mr. Rapesu.
commissioned by Rapesu. So
Yes.
should it not be part of CJC 394 if what you are referring to applies to statements in CJC 393?
It would be, except that 3485 was provided by the witness.
Okay. But
I see-
you're not suggesting that 3485 is also a post facto?
No.
Yes, okay.
It's only those commissioned by Mr. Perumal.
The Pretoria, Cape Town.
The Pretoria, the schizophrenic ones here, yes.
Then we are clear.
So before I play these clips, because I think they explain and the basis for why they so contend, I must place on record that both witnesses will be appearing before the commission this week. They'll testify to what they state in those voice notes, and their statements should be coming through any moment soon. So it is necessary that through them, I explain the challenges to Advocate Johnson, and then after lunch, we can then compare the two sets of statements to determine why their advice is important for our purposes.
Understood.
Very short statements. Thank you, Chair. We play the first one will be a female voice, the other will be a male voice. Where you hear a female voice, that's the voice of Advocate Ramsamy. When it's a male voice, that's the voice of Investigator Rapesu. Thank you.
A1 taken by Dylan on the 6th of January, 2026, and then a supplementary taken on the same day by Rapesu, 6th of January 2025. So why would two investigating officers sitting in the same boardroom have taken two different statements on the same day? And I can confirm that in my presence, there was only 4 statements taken. They were the 4 supplementary affidavits, which I have provided to you. The A1 was not taken in my presence, and it could not have been taken on the 6th of January. One, we didn't have the Cape or the Pretoria stamp with us, as is clear from the supplementary statement. 2, Dylan did not take or commission any statements in my presence. 3, we had one vehicle, we all traveled together, and all meals were done together. We even sat at the pool for a long time and chatted and whatever. So when exactly would Perumal have taken the statements on the 6th if we were together?
Thank you. That was the voice of Advocate Ramsamy. Can we play the second clip? That should be Investigator Rapesu.
This A1, actually I don't know how to put it, but it could not have been possible because on that day we only obtained the supplementaries. So there was no way Dylan could have obtained that affidavit on that day. And maybe my thinking is that maybe it was signed on a different date, which I don't know. Also remember, I was questioning that signature of Fadil. It looks like someone was trying to jigger it, but I'm not an expert, I don't know, but it looks like. So I think that affidavit is obtained after, it was not on the 6th. So, yeah.
I think both were fairly audible. There's no need to replay, and I think the import of the respective message is duly delivered. So, as I indicated, Advocate Johnson, these are the 2 witnesses who support an exhibit CJC 394, which are the statements that the Commission has added to the exhibit file. And they deny any knowledge of those statements as commissioned by Mr. Perumal, and their testimony will be that whenever it is Mr. Perumal took those statements from Mr. Adams and commissioned them, it definitely is not on the 6th of January 2025 because they were together at all times. And Mr. Perumal himself was present when Mr. Rapesu commissioned the statements.
And he said the signatures were jiggered, means they were tampered with, or they're not a true reflection of Mr. Adams' signature in terms of the statements allegedly taken and commissioned by Mr. Perumal. Did I
Yes.
get that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And he does say, though, he's not a handwriting expert. At
I
least
did
let's
hear
give him
that.
that much.
It's just jiggered, but he
Yes.
doesn't know more
He
than
says it looks jiggered to him. Right. Now, you must recall that when we were dealing with our A1 statement in the Mukwele matter, our A1 statement in that docket is the quote-unquote Perumal statement. So, Chair,
You
Yes.
say, Chair, let's break. Can I just check something? Ms. Johnson, considering the dates in the Perumal, I'm going to call it the Chief Perumal statements, which is the 6th of January, and then on the same day, Rapesu also, it's the 6th of January. Would it be normal, I can't think of the correct word, but that you would have an A1 statement on the 6th of January taken by a member of this 3-member team, and on the same day you have the same team, you have a supplementary statement. It seems to me intuitively that you just have one A1 statement if they were all traveling together and they were interviewing the complainant together. Am I right, that
Correct.
you would have one comprehensive statement?
procedurally, it does not make sense.
Yes.
What might have made sense is there were 4 statements to be taken. If perhaps Mr. Perumal took 2 and Rapesu took 2,
Yeah.
but on those same matters, and then they end up with a total of 4,
Yeah.
that is logical. But you cannot have one team together, same day, same place.
Taking a main statement and a supplementary statement.
And bearing in mind, Chair, that the purpose was for a supplementary statement to bolster the dockets that were purported to be somewhat lacking.
Thank you.
I think it highlights the danger I mentioned 15 minutes ago,
Absolutely.
where only one person is engaging or not engaging with a witness. But advocacy law, something even more important. In the docket and in the various documents that were given to the court, what was disclosed? Is what was disclosed what we now know as the doctored A1, or is it the correct supplementary?
So far, we have the Mukwele docket that we have worked through. It is what the commissioner calls the doctored A1. That's the A1 in the Mukwele docket.
I mean, that is serious misconduct. It's serious misconduct.
It is indeed.
Because it means that is what is disclosed to the court and to the accused.
Indeed, Chair.
Let's adjourn at this point and resume at 14:40.
Thank you, Chair.